Hello guys, welcome back to LR Anime. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of Flame Emperor episode number 402 based on novel. So let's start. Battle Formation Master, Jiyu Qingkong and Jiyu Li had extremely shocked expressions in their eyes. Looking at the thin black-shirted man in front of them, they couldn't help but lose their voices. No! Seeing that the two of them were so surprised, Xiao Yan immediately smiled and shook his head. Since the return of the demon world, Xiao Yan found that the cultivation of the magician must not be left behind. After all, this is the strongest profession that is enough to defeat 10,000 or even more. In a sense, it even surpasses the pharmacist. Xiao Yang also spoke with the idea of giving it a try. What Xiao Yang lacks now is fighting skills, but for him, there are many ways to look for fighting skills. Instead, the illusory things like fighting formation masters give Xiao Yang a headache. There is still a way to find fighting skills. As for the alchemist Xiao Yang, there is also a way to make up for it, but this thing really makes Xiao Yang head big, and there is no way to start. Are you Do Formation Master? After a while, Jiyu Qingkong jumped up and came to Xiao Yang and surrounded Xiao Yang, as if looking at a piece of rough jade, with a flash of love. It's good luck. Xiao Yang smiled faintly. The core inscriptions of the divine movement in his body started to run at a high speed, and the core inscriptions condensed out and turned into array patterns that emerged in the hall. That kind of fierce oppression and power is undoubtedly a non-Do formation master. Okay. What a battle formation master. Jiyu Qingkong couldn't help roaring when he saw this, and clapped his hands together in unison. The violent sound was accompanied by a smile, which made one's heart palpitate. Hehe, you kid is a little unexpected. Seeing this, Jiyu Li couldn't help but sigh. Just possessing holy flame is enough to make countless people jealous, but this kid is still a battle formation master. How strong is the fighter? If it is placed in the ordinary power, it will be regarded as an equal role with the alchemist, but only the ancient races like them know that the power of the battle formation master surpasses the alchemist by too much. In the First World War, the entire Dacian world was extremely miserable. The top power of the aliens was contained by the respective centers of the Seven Realms and the supreme beings dominated by the Xiao tribe, but the remaining alien army was threatening the safety of the entire Dacian world. Even with the top forces of each of the seven worlds, it is a heart palpitation to deal with the army of millions. And just when everyone was desperate, a group of mysterious powerhouses suddenly appeared. They carried the formation pattern and used extremely mysterious means to encircle and suppress the remaining evil army of the evil tribe outside the territory. Therefore, the Do Formation Master had an indispensable contribution to the First World War. Just imagine, one person is enough to stop tens of thousands or even hundreds of thousands of extraterrestrial evil tribes with his own strength. How horrifying the means and scenes are. However, it was precisely because the Do Formation Master was too dazzling in the First World War. After the war, the Do Formation Master did not know whether it was voluntarily retreating or being mutilated by others. The number of Do Formation Masters was like extinction. Not many people. From this, it is no wonder that when the two of them knew that Xiao Yang was a battle formation master, they were shocked. If a battle formation master is trained well, it will definitely be a strategic bomb in the future. Okay. Jiyu Qingkong roared violently. The palm of his hand turned a little red because of the vigorous slap, and the ecstasy on his face could no longer be contained. Wait a minute, boy, I will personally go and take out all the treasures related to the battle formation master. I saw an afterimage and a residual sound left, and Jiyu Qingkong disappeared here. Xiao Yang couldn't help but look dazed. He obviously didn't understand why Jiyu Qingkong was so different. He clearly just didn't have high requirements. You kid, it's... Jiyu Li opened his mouth slightly and smiled. Senior, it seems that the core of the ancient world can't be closed now. Has something happened? Seeing Jiyu Qingkong disappearing, Xiao Yang decided to ask. I don't know, it seems that it has been like this since the patriarch and elders came back. Because we are in charge of the vassal race, we rarely enter the core of the ancient world. I don't know what happened. The only thing I can say for sure is that the ancient race is not right now, and I can't say what is wrong. Jiyu Li recalled. So that's the case. Xiao Yang also nodded lightly, not asking. Obviously he could only rely on himself next. By the way, Senior Jiyu, I wonder if the ancient prison is deep in the core of the ancient world sky? After a while, Xiao Yang asked in a chatty tone. This is what Xiao Yang cares about the most. Nowadays, there is a special barrier in the core area of the ancient world. If it is hard to break through, it may not work. The ancient prison is not in the sky of the ancient world. It is in some of the territories of our vassal race, but not many people know exactly where it is, because it is a secret among the ancient races. Jiu Li said slowly. Obviously also I sensed some of the implication of Xiao Yang asking this kind of question. Boy, these are the things you need. After a while, Jiu Qingkong came back with a happy face, and he also had a simple NA ring in his hand. There were obviously quite a lot of mottled treasures in the NA ring. Thank you, two adults. Xiao Yang said slowly, without smiling. It's not too early today, little brother, rest early. Come here, take brother Xiao Yang to his mansion. After Jiu Qingkong finished speaking, a maid appeared, and immediately took Xiao Yang down. This guy, how is it? With Xiao Yang's departure, Jiu Qingkong was silent for a long time before speaking. A good seedling may be able to solve the difficulties of the ancient clan, and the identity of the battle formation master is enough to grow into a strong one. Jiu Li's eyes changed, and after a while, he also spit out a flat voice. You mean? Jiu Qingkong couldn't help being surprised when he heard the words. Jiu Li and he were originally the strongest in charge of the vassal race, but Jiu Li had no choice but to resign to guard the seventh peak. The reason was naturally to attract and select some excellent seedlings. He has a holy flame, and he has the lofty status of a battle formation master. I think he can. By the way, he just asked me about the ancient prison. I'm afraid the implication is obvious. Jiu Li said. But this guy, I'm still a little worried. Jiu Qingkong shook his head. Obviously, when the ancients were in crisis, he didn't want to let the countless years of great achievements of the ancients be ruined. There's no time, we haven't entered the ancient world for decades, and we don't know what it looks like, and this guy seems to be very similar to the domain master of the Endless Fire domain, even though he covered his own appearance. Jiu Li said. In that case, let's help him, and I hope he won't let us down. After the two finished speaking, some plans slowly emerged in their hearts. However, they could never have imagined that the alien evil clan, which was extremely disgusted by the Great Thousand Worlds, actually took root under their noses. If Xiao Yang hadn't acted in time this time, I am afraid that this ancient clan would also have come from the ancient clan. Completely erased. It's better to retreat first to increase the strength of the battle formation masters. Even in the face of many unknown enemies within the ancient clan, it is more certain. Otherwise, I am afraid this time will be more fortunate. After Xiao Yang returned to his mansion, he was also not caring about admiring the grandeur of the mansion and the amorous feelings of the maids around him. After giving the order, he took the ring that Jiu Qingkong had given him and entered the retreat training room. The situation among the ancient clan is unknown, the cultivation of the battle formation master is imminent, and it is quite close to the headquarters of the Holy See. If it is not a last resort, Xiao Yang suddenly does not want to use the power of the devil, because once the power of the devil is used, no matter what, whether it is the endless fire territory behind him or himself, it is difficult to clear the relationship. At that time, the power that he has painstakingly built up will probably be in vain. The promotion of the array master is confusing even me now. I hope that the ancient races, can provide me with some useful help. Xiao Yang just finished his words and sat cross-legged directly, and the core inscriptions of the divine movement natal life filled out. A spiritual aura different from the power of the soul emerged. If the power of the soul is the power to attack the soul of people, make people sluggish or directly destroy the soul of the enemy, then the power of the soul is the power to control the spiritual actions of people, and even the mysterious power that prevents the enemy from performing fighting skill. The two are quite similar but not the same. There are countless ways to cultivate and improve the power of the soul, but there are countless ways to improve the spiritual power of the magician. Even the powerhouses of some ancient races know very little. It is a pity that Xiao Yang's soul power is strong now, but his spiritual power is terrifyingly weak, which restricts Xiao Yang's combat effectiveness to a certain extent. Even Xiao Yang's previous grading of magicians is too vague. Obviously, it is not a specific level delineated by the Great Thousand World, and it lacks a sense of authenticity. This is Formation Scroll. In the quiet stone room of cultivation, Xiao Yang just shook his acceptance ring, and heavy silver scrolls flickered out, dozens of them, and the terrifying power contained on them made Xiao Yang cannot help but stun. Even though these scrolls are already yellowed, and there are clearly traces of time, Xiao Yang is still shocked by so many formation scrolls. I am afraid that this kind of handwriting is only owned by these super races. The rock ghost formation requires 10,000 formations. Once it is cast, it can transform into countless spectre ghost rocks. It is a combination of attack and defense. The wind confines the sky wall array, the array pattern required is 100,000. The wind swirls the clouds, the sky wall imprisons the enemy, an attack-type formation. Xiao Yan carefully sensed the yellow-colored note on the silver scroll, and muttered, "My current number of formation patterns is probably only around 60,000, and my mental strength is still too weak." Xiao Yang put aside the remaining 2 scrolls that required 100,000 and 80,000 formation patterns, and the rest put them all away, muttering. Xiao Yang's specific division of spiritual power is a bit blurry, but Xiao Yang is still clear that 10,000 array patterns correspond to a 1-star Dozian powerhouse, similar to 60,000 Dao, which is only for 6-star Dozian, which is too much for Xiao Yang today. Chicken ribs. It seems that there is more. After doing all this, Xiao Yang was shaking the ring, and found that there were other things in it. God and Demon Plate. What is this? Xiao Yang just picked up a round stone plate that fell out of the ring, and suddenly looked at the words on the stone plate in front of him. Before he could study it, he was suddenly tortured. Emerging from the front, Xiao Yang couldn't help roaring violently. Xiao Yang suddenly threw the round stone plate out, and immediately sat on the ground gasping for breath, every drop of sweat dripping like raindrops. The torture just now made Xiao Yang feel as miserable as falling into the Senluo hell in an instant. That kind of terrifying mental torture almost made Xiao Yang completely annihilated. What is this? After gasping for a few breaths, Xiao Yang got up and walked towards the round stone plate thrown out. The circular stone plate looks like a ring the size of a slap. Countless hidden traces appear around the ring, and it turns out to form a rare ripple. However, when Xiao Yang first saw it, the spirit in his body appeared. The core inscription of the moving life was uncontrollably agitated. After the breath, it fell off directly and hung quietly around the garden-shaped stone plate. There seems to be some connection between the two. Xiao Yang felt some vague connection between the two, and immediately crouched down and watched quietly. The body of the core inscription of Shendong's life should have the pinnacle of the inscription level, but unfortunately Xiao Yang has only found half of it now, and the remaining half may undoubtedly find a needle in a haystack, and it will be difficult to gather it together. With a loud voice, on the divine moving inscription, a special pattern that has been around for a long time actually slowly evolved into a fat little light worm, comparable to the silkworm and cordyceps. After a while, under Xiao Yang's stunned gaze, he climbed to the circle. On the stone plate. What's the situation? Xiao Yang couldn't help but be surprised when he saw that the round stone plate full of endless restrictions did not bounce back at this time. When I held it in my hand just now, the awe-inspiring aura made me quite afraid. How could this divine inscription be so easy? Is there really any connection between the two? Crackling tilde just when Xiao Yang was puzzled, he stared at the light worm on the circular stone plate, and the light worm about the size of a finger suddenly twisted his plump body, slowly smoothing crawling around on the round stone plate. At the same time, just as the light worm was crawling, deep within Xiao Yang's body, a place called Ngongwen radiated a dazzling light, and the pain that penetrated deep into the bone marrow radiated from the mud. It was spread from Miyamaru. Xiao Yang suddenly hugged his head, his body tense, his hands tightly holding the Nigong, trying to control the pain, but he was indifferent. The area of the Nigong pill slowly expanded with each crawling of the lightworm, and the pain Xiao Yang suffered was also a little bit heavier. Xiao Yang only felt that his body was darkened by this spiritual force, and suddenly a scream from the bottom of his heart swept out. Crash. That kind of torture, even if Xiao Yang possessed many skills, was useless for a while, and he could only forcefully grit his teeth and persist. Although this kind of scream was quite miserable, it was accompanied by the fact that the area of the Nigong pill in Xiao Yang's body expanded a lot, and his mental strength was also slowly increasing, but he didn't know that this kind of abnormality was different from ordinary people. How long will it take for the torture to end completely? The day it ends is also the moment of transformation. Along with Xiao Yang's time in seclusion and training as a battle formation master, many things happened in the ancient world, the grey barrier above the sky, and the entire ancient world. Originally, in the ancient world, both the energy of heaven and earth and the purity of the air were obvious to all, but since what happened to the ancients, the energy of heaven and earth has become thinner, and even the air that has always been clear and pure has become turbid. If you grab it in the void, you can see that there is some kind of strange substance in the turbid air. In the vast territory that stretches for thousands of miles in the ancient world, this is a rather vast grassland. The lush vegetation is full of vitality, but beneath this vitality is a gloomy aura that is hard to detect by ordinary people. When mortals smell it, they can't help trembling all over, which is quite strange. And somewhere in the dark corner of this grassland, a magnificent palace stands tall. The huge palace as a whole is paved with countless white boulders. On the white boulder square, there are only 2 stone pillars that cover the sky completely. As for the so-called palace, to put it bluntly, it is just a huge stone square. There are 2 stone pillars in the square, but the center of the square is slightly raised, which seems to be connected to a space somewhere, which is quite strange. Shishi. A slight breeze blew, and suddenly a violent distortion hit the boulder square. After a while, a figure suddenly appeared on the raised platform, but the overall look was quite strange. Susu, in some time, I am afraid that the master's plan will be successful. The man who appeared was covered in a black robe, but there was a faint light on his body, giving a rather gloomy feeling. That kind of aura is by no means a ghostly aura that can be possessed. Even if he tries his best to suppress it, he can't cover up the outrageous stench. Forget it, let's get down to business. After some muttering, the figure in the black robe flashed and walked directly towards the vassal race city. This guy is definitely not a foreign evil race. It seems that this is probably the entrance to the ancient prison. Just the guy just now? As the man with the strange figure disappeared, a piece of land on the grassland suddenly wriggled, and the 2 figures came to the boulder square and whispered. The 2 are Jiyu Li and Jiyu Qingkong. During Xiao Yang's retreat, these 2 guys also mobilized all the resources they could use in order to find this mysterious ancient prison. Fortunately, the hard work paid off, and finally the 2 found it. A trace of hidden traces. It's not appropriate to scare the snake. Seeing Jiyu Li's fighting spirit surging all over his body, I was afraid that he was about to chase after the figure just now. Jiyu Qingkong stretched out his arm, stopped the latter, and shook his head. Okay. Seeing this, Jiyu Li frowned, and his eyes returned to the huge boulder square at his feet. With his perception, it was naturally not difficult to see the strangeness here, even a trace of terrifying aura. They are all slightly disappointed. That kind of breath is definitely not possessed by the ancient clansman. I am afraid it is some right and wrong. The reason why the ancient clan has become like this may be inseparable from this kind of power. It seems that this is the entrance to the ancient prison. Jiyu Qingkong glanced away slightly, but after a glance, he found nothing, and suddenly shook his head slowly. What is this? Just when Jiyu Qingkong found nothing, Jiyu Li grabbed at the void, and a trace of black air emerged. That black gas was like an earthworm, and just after being caught by Jiyu Li, a monstrous evil aura burst out, trying to penetrate Jiyu Li's body and devour his power. Be careful. Jiyu Qingkong contacted him, shouted in a hurry, and the resplendent Do Chi directly burned and attacked him. Zoo! With a sound, the black gas disappeared, and the entire boulder square was quiet. At the end of the line of sight, there are 2 stone pillars on the boulder square facing each other, and the only uplifted block in the square is also standing horizontally in the center of the stone pillar. What special token should I need to enter the ancient prison? And there may be some terrifying creatures in this ancient prison. Even if I sense it with my power, I can't help but feel a wave of heart palpitations. In addition to the extremely evil black air just now, I suspect. Jiyu Li slowly stared at the abnormality above the boulder square and spoke softly. If they had achieved the power of the 8-star fighting immortal middle stage, they would feel a little uneasy, and the 2 of them were also quite uneasy when this heavy responsibility was handed over to Xiao Yang. Let's go. We can only go back and think about this matter in the long run. Jiyu Qingkong repeatedly probed the surrounding area dozens of times, but still found nothing. He jumped and took Jiyu Li back to the city. Is it an illusion? The 2 had not left for a long time, and the black-robed figure who had appeared before appeared, and behind him, a number of walking corpses lined up behind him. Forget it, anyway, once the master's plan is successful, this Doyun continent will be within easy reach. The only thing I'm worried about now is the Holy Maiden and the Holy Sea in the Holy Land of the ancient clan. I hope these guys don't ruin our good deeds. The black-robed figure immediately waved his hand, and several figures behind him disappeared at the same time, turning into a wipe together. The brilliance was injected into the uplifted plot, but this is obviously just a similar space passage, but the real ancient prison is not there. What's going on? Jiyu Li hurriedly asked when he just returned to the city hall. If he was given some time, I'm afraid he would be enough to crack the mystery above the boulder square. No problem, it's just that this matter needs to be discussed from a long-term perspective, and should not be reckless. Jiyu Qingkong's sense of smell is much more arrogant than Jiyu Li. Obviously, he will not explain the situation to Jiyu Li, and can only be confused. Now I know where the entrance to the ancient prison is, but I can't open the passage to enter it. Jiyu Li nodded lightly, and was at a loss for a while. In the face of this situation, his 8-star fighting immortal power turned out to have no room to use. www.mtlnovel.com waiting for Xiao Yang to go out. I am afraid I have to ask him for this. Jiyu Qingkong rolled his eyes, as if he had thought of a better candidate. His strength is too weak. Will it be unsafe? After all, the power contained in that black air, if you guessed correctly. Jiyu Li worried. Because of the traces of aura left on the boulder square just now, even he was slightly afraid. Xiao Yang's middle stage of the 7-star fighting immortals might not be able to protect himself if he entered it. Do we still have a choice? Jiyu Qingkong shook his head. Hey! Seeing this, Jiyu Li could only sigh. Wuji. Things had exceeded their expectations by too much. They originally thought that the ancient clan was just a closed clan for cultivating saintesses, but now it seems that they are all big wrong. Hehe, you are too underestimated by this guy. Jiyu Qingkong pretended to be mysterious. The breadth of their ancient powerhouses is recorded by the ancients' elders, and every shot will cause others to notice, so only a foreign powerhouse like Xiao Yang has a chance. Terrible. Xiao Yang, you have to hurry up, there is not much time left for you. Jiyu Qingkong looked at the endless void, and said slowly, there was a strange oppression in his voice. Because the smell in the black air was clearly the smell of the evil race from outside the realm, that is to say, I am afraid that the foreign evil races that are hated by the Great Thousand Worlds are now quietly dormant in the core of their ancient world. Or even lived with them for decades. Thinking of this, with Jiyu Qingkong's concentration, goosebumps stood up all over his body. It's really fun. At the same time, in Xiao Yang's cultivation stone room, Xiao Yang's rather free and easy laughter echoed throughout the stone room. With the tempering of the divine stone plate, Xiao Yang's spiritual power has suddenly risen to a whole new level, and even Xiao Yang, relying on some vague memories of the divine stone plate, has thoroughly figured out the specific grades of Do Formation Masters. The division of Do Formation Masters, from the lowest to the peak, is divided into 8 levels: Congealing Pattern, Formation, Immortal Master, Celestial Master, Earth Master, Emperor Master, and Saint Master. The previous Xiao Yang's mental strength was at most an entry level, barely able to reach the formation, but now Xiao Yang, relying on the tempering of the divine stone plate, successfully stepped into the Immortal Master. But don't underestimate the Immortal Master rank. The minimum requirement to step into the Immortal Master is to condense 70,000 core inscriptions. Now Xiao Yang can condense 70,000 inscriptions at his fingertips, even because of the increase in spiritual power this time. Xiao Yang himself, I don't know where my limits are. Of course, there is no specific division of spiritual power. Every time it improves, it will be reflected in the number of core inscriptions. Beyond the Immortal Master, it is the Heavenly Master and the Earth Master. As for the above, it is the so-called Emperor Master. However, there is a supreme realm that no one can reach in ancient times, and the Great Thousand World calls it a holy teacher. According to legend, a saint teacher is comparable to millions of elite soldiers and strong generals. With the strength of one person to stop 1,000,000 soldiers, that kind of strength may have already reached the realm of profound and subtle, even the best in reincarnation. Those who are afraid of it can only temporarily avoid the edge. With the help of an Immortal Master, I am afraid that I will be able to stalemate with the ordinary 8-star fighting immortals. After collecting the core inscriptions of the gods, it should be enough for me to step into the dual masters of heaven and earth. When I reach that level, I am afraid it will be a different look. Xiao Yang cautiously said. He put the divine stone plate and other treasures into his Emperor Flame Ring, and immediately laughed. Let's go out. After tidying up a piece of clothing, Xiao Yang stood upright and left directly facing the outside of the cultivation stone room. Because of this retreat, the chances of winning the trip to the ancients were much better. Sir, are you out of the customs? Xiao Yang had just retracted several barriers that he had set up, and a sweet female voice appeared in his ears. Well, is there something wrong? Xiao Yang casually looked around, and found that this woman had red lips and white teeth, and her skin was snow white, but she was quite timid, and she didn't dare to look directly at herself. Looking at this, it was obvious that he had been waiting for a long time. The steward is waiting for you in the center of the city. Let me tell you to hurry up after exiting the customs. It seems that there is something urgent that needs to be discussed with you. With handsome facial features and a healthy physique formed by years of fighting, Xiao Yang seems to exude a faint masculine aura, which is desirable. Understood. Xiao Yang agreed softly, his body squirmed, and went directly to the center of the city. He wanted to see what Jiyu Qingkong and the others were doing. After the rest, in the main hall of the city center, it is quite quiet. I think it is the daily rest place of Jiyu Qingkong and others. At this time, only Jiyu Qingkong is here alone. But extremely sad. Hehe, brother Xiao Yang, I haven't seen you for a month, and I'm really getting more and more energetic. Jiyu Qingkong looked at Xiao Yang and seemed to have a layer of aura that he couldn't see through. After retreating for a month, this guy's power is probably back. Increased. Good luck. By the way, Director Jiyu called me, I don't know what it is. Xiao Yang said humbly, his eyes slowly looking at Jiyu Qingkong. Even if Jiyu Qingkong smiled, Xiao Yang could find a rare worry in it. However, what Xiao Yang did not expect was that his seclusion time was so short. How could a month pass? Take a step to speak. During the speech, Jiyu Qingkong's figure moved, and an energy barrier shrouded the two of them. Immediately, Jiyu Qingkong's smile disappeared instantly, his brows wrinkled, and a dignified expression appeared on his face. What happened? At this moment, Xiao Yang also asked eagerly. Jiyu Qingkong and Jiyu Li should be regarded as people Xiao Yang can trust now. If something happens to them, I am afraid they can only use the most primitive methods. Break through the core of the ancient world. However, when he thought of the ancient elders in the core of the ancient world, Xiao Yang had an extremely headache. With all the things on his body, Xiao Yang's peak combat power should be complete in the middle stage of the 8-star fighting immortal, and it is a bit difficult to deal with the late 8-star fighting immortal, not to mention the reincarnation level. The middle stage of the 8-star fighting immortal is complete, but it is only one step away from the later stage of the 8-star fighting immortal. Among the 8-star fighting immortals, the gap between each star is like a gulf, which is daunting. Jiyu Li disappeared. After blinking, Jiyu Qingkong's eyes flashed with a rare gloom, and he muttered, "Missing?" Xiao Yang asked in surprise. During your retreat, we secretly mobilized people to investigate the location of the ancient prison, and barely found the entrance to the ancient prison, but we were unable to open the entrance and go deep into it. I wanted to wait until you left the customs to discuss, but 10 days ago, Jiyu Li disappeared. Even if I searched countless cities, there is no trace of him. Even some traces that I observed about his disappearance seem to be more like it was kidnapped. Jiyu Qingkong slowly analyzed. 8-star fighting immortal's midterm perfect strength was hijacked. Xiao Yang heard the words, only felt a buzzing sound in his head, and there was no good way for a while. Jiyu Guanxia, tell me clearly, what do you need me to do? After a while, Xiao Yang said solemnly, and there was clearly a solemn decision in his voice. I suspect that this is a warning from those guys to us, so I want to ask brother Xiao Yang to investigate and see if we can crack the entrance to the ancient prison and enter it. Because of the power of our ancient powerhouses, they are completely under their control, and once they make a move, they will be exposed in advance. Seeing Xiao Yang's attitude, Jiyu Qingkong was not trying to sell anything. His eyes narrowed, staring at Xiao Yang's opening, waiting for Xiao Yang's decision. Jiyu Guanxia just believed in me as an outsider. Xiao Yang shied away from Jiyu Qingkong's attention. There is nothing to offer to welcome the relatives, not a traitor or a thief. This Jiyu Qingkong is suddenly so fiery towards himself. I am afraid it is not a good sign, and what Xiao Yang said is trustworthy, is only to compare them with the crowd of other vassal races. After all, Xiao Yang is still worried that Jiyu Qingkong will plot against him. This is the ancient world, the territory of the ancient clan. If their previous words were all made up to deceive him, why are they obviously planning to murder himself to obtain holy flame? Xiao Yang is in danger even if he uses the power of the devil. Brother Xiao Yang, I know that you have an extraordinary identity. I am afraid that you came to the ancient clan for the purpose of taking it away, but these are all irrelevant. This is the origin of my soul. The ancient clan has encountered such a great disaster. I implore you to rescue the ancient clan. Looking at Xiao Yang's refusal, on Jiyu Qingkong's palm, a dazzling group of light danced gently like a miniature villain, and the power contained on it was exactly the same as Jiyu Qingkong. The origin of the soul, this is the foundation of a cultivator. Once the origin of the soul is damaged, I am afraid that the body will also fester. At this moment, Xiao Yang's eyes did not have the original refusal, but an unprecedented dignified expression emerge. Judging from Jiyu Qingkong's handwriting, the danger facing the ancients is probably 100 times more terrifying than he imagined. It seems that the danger that your ancient clan suffered is probably more terrifying than I imagined. Xiao Yang slowly supported Jiyu Qingkong and shook his head. Brother Xiao Yang, what do you say? Seeing this, Jiyu Qingkong immediately burst into tears and couldn't help thanking him. Take back the source of your soul, I will help you, because helping you is equivalent to helping myself. I have a holy flame, and I am very sensitive to evil auras. In your ancient world, I am afraid there is a strong evil aura mixed with it. That kind of aura is a bit like the smell of evil people from outside the realm. Xiao Yan frowned. Some of the information I know is said. Extraterritorial evil race? But this is clearly the Doyun continent, where ancient races and powerhouses from the Holy See are lined up. Even if 10 courageous powers are given to the powerhouses of foreigners, they can't infiltrate our ancient world under the eyes of so many powerhouses. Jiyu Qingkong, but it is undeniable, shaking his head. You said earlier that the ancient clan chiefs and many elders have changed their temperament after returning from a certain trip. I am afraid that at that time, they will no longer be themselves. Xiao Yang boldly guessed. How could it be possible? Among the patriarchs and elders, there are people in the late stage of the 8-star Dozian and even the perfect powerhouse. So, that the power of the extraterrestrial evil race powerhouse is likely to touch the reincarnation? Jiyu Qingkong only felt that his mind was empty, and a shock came. I don't know and I can't be sure, these are just my guesses and inferences. By the way, what about the supreme elders of your ancient clan? Xiao Yang asked in the next moment. I don't know, we have never seen the supreme elder in our clan, and he hasn't shown up for tens of thousands of years. Jiyu Qingkong shook his head. I hope things won't go to the worst. Xiao Yang clenched his fists tightly, gritted his teeth, and said, if even the elders of the supreme being fell, I am afraid that this time it is really dead. Also, what happened to your ancient holy land? Seeing that things were already in the air, Xiao Yang asked. After the holy land of the ancient clan was opened, the holy maiden entered it, and no one was able to enter it, not even gathering 3 keys. It seemed that someone had sealed it from the interior of the holy land, and the holy land could only go out but not enter. Jiyu Qingkong shook his head and said, if that's the case, then please take care of Steward Jiyu to lead the way. After a while, Xiao Yang nodded slowly. It's not possible now, we have to wait until midnight, because according to my observations these days, only at that time will there be a time gap that will not be discovered. Jiyu Qingkong said. Okay, everything is up to you. Xiao Yang nodded, ready to go. This trip to the ancient prison was destined to be extraordinary. As the sun sets, countless stars hang in the starry sky, and the lights of thousands of houses will dazzle the huge ancient world. It's time, let's go. The breeze blew across the face, and 2 figures in black shirts were bathed in the cold wind, one after the other, facing the boulder square. Wait a minute, I didn't expect the 2 of them to suppress their strength to the level of a 6-star fighting immortal. Xiao Yang whispered. This is? Jiyu Qingkong asked in confusion. Secret. Xiao Yang pretended to be profound. At this time, there was nothing on the boulder square, and even a trace of yin wind was blowing, making people tremble. This is the entrance to the ancient prison. I saw those guys enter with my own eyes, but Jiyu Li and I have studied it several times and have not been able to decipher the secrets. Jiyu Qingkong looked around vigilantly, and indeed no one pointed his finger at the second one. The uplifted plot in the center of the pillar. En. Xiao Yang nodded, his figure floated in the air like a ghost, and immediately went to investigate. Hey! Just when Xiao Yang was approaching the bulge in the center of the 2 stone pillars, a spooky black wind burst out. Be careful. Jiyu Qingkong's expression was solemn, he guarded Xiao Yang, and stared vigilantly at a hidden dark void in the boulder square. As I said, I always feel that something is wrong. It turns out that someone is staring at me. 2 little fellows of 6-star fighting immortals, I have to, you are really daring. In a leisurely time, a strange figure wriggling in black aura stepped out of the darkness step by step in a very contemptuous tone. That kind of breath turned out to be mixed with the surrounding night, but it gave the 2 of them an extremely terrifying oppression. 8-star fighting immortals. Xiao Yang sensed a little, that is, he knew the true identity of this guy. Xiao Yang, our whereabouts may have been exposed, you go first. Jiyu Qingkong shook his head helplessly, facing Xiao Yang behind him. An 8-star fighting immortal in the early stage came just in time. Acacia flame territory. Xiao Yang ignored it, snorted coldly, the surrounding scorching pink flames completely enveloped the plaza, and his aura instantly soared. Preemptive strike, the power of the field. With the increase of the Acacia flame domain, Xiao Yang's strength has clearly reached the true 7-star fighting immortal perfection, but it is obviously not suitable to weaken the enemy by 1 level, and it has become only a slight increase in himself. Characteristics of Silk Strength. Oh, it's actually a hidden strength, and the 7-star fighting immortal is complete. And Holy Flame. Interesting and interesting. Looking at the strange Acacia power contained in the pink flames around, the black figure sneered, and his voice was filled with ecstasy. Hot explosion technique. Xiao Yan didn't have any extra explanation. With the increase of his explosion technique and acacia flame domain, his speed and strength skyrocketed, and he directly attacked the black chi figure. For a time, Xiao Yan's hands, feet, and every joint turned into the sharpest and most deadly weapon to attack the black figure, and the pink flames along the way were suffocating. What a terrifying attack power! Jiyu Qingkong stood blankly at the side, looking at Xiao Yan's attacking angle like a poisonous snake. He couldn't help but click his tongue secretly. The training and cultivation that this guy has received is probably comparable to that of other people. Every move and attack is perfect without wasting any power, and there are very few strong people who can achieve this level. Black Bite. After a short while, with Xiao Yan's high-intensity continuous attack, the black chi figure at the initial stage of 8-star Dose Yan snorted coldly, and a huge black chi ghost face emerged directly from his chest, and immediately whistled away at Xiao Yan. Squeak. Seeing this, Xiao Yan wrapped the amber rock soul fire in his palm and grabbed the evil ghost face with one palm. After a while, he suddenly squeezed hard, and the seemingly tyrannical evil ghost face shattered directly, and even countless evil black chi, without any room to escape, was directly purified by Xiao Yan. I've encountered a difficult guy, so it seems that I can only retreat first. Seeing this, the black chi figure immediately had the intention of retreating. Want to run? Xiao Yan snorted coldly, waved his hand, and the majestic power of holy flame slanted away. Crash. Not long after, the black figure of the 8-star Dose Yan early stage was directly bound by Xiao Yang in the acacia flame domain, unable to move. This is Jiyu Yang, the lord of Jiyu Yang City. It happened that the amber-colored holy flame chains just took off the black chi figure's head, and suddenly a very familiar face from Jiyu Qingkong was displayed in front of him without reservation. At this moment, a touch of incomparable shock filled Jiyu Qingkong's brain, washed his cognition, and subverted everything he had done in the past. This video will end here.